This week's video is all about how to make some sliced orange canes so you can make oranges and orange slices for your dolls to eat. Stay tuned and see how fun and easy this project is. Alright, so today we are making oranges. So I've got an orange, and the first thing we need to do is get some orange clay put together. I was out of orange clay. I checked my clay stash and there was not enough of any orange that would work. So I went to the store expecting to get orange clay. They didn't have any orange clay. So I got some red and some yellow, going back to our kindergarten lessons that we learned that red plus yellow make orange. Now I was kind of particular about my red. And granted, I probably had red and yellow, but I wasn't sure if I had the right colors. I picked a red that was on the warm side of red, meaning an orangier red, and a yellow that was also on the warmer side of yellow. Some reds are more purpley. They're more of a cool red. They're a purplier red, like a cherry red. That won't make a pretty orange when mixed with yellow. That will end up with a brownish looking orange. Same with my yellow. I wanted an orangey yellow, a warm yellow, not a cool greenish yellow like a lemon color. These specific colors are Indian red and sunflower. So those are the colors we're using. I also picked up a fresh block of translucent white, what they call it, translucent white. And I have white translucent clay here. I buy mine usually in the bigger container, hoping that's not all dirty. So our first step, we have to make some orange clay. And we need an orange that looks pretty much like this. And today we're going to make our orange peel and our interior of our orange both out of the orange. Sometimes I use paint for the skin. Today I'm going to use the actual clay. So, I'm going to cut these open. And I'm always careful not to cut where the color name is. I find that before I start cutting my blocks of clay open. I don't care if I cut open the brand label. I want to make sure this label is intact that tells me my color. Now if you look at the back of your Fimo block, and Primo and Sculpey are the same way, they're already divided for you, so you can tell how many parts you're getting. Oh, and also, you need to use like a Fimo or a Primo type clay. Don't try this one with a Sculpey. It's probably not going to work. You'll be very frustrated. Sculpey is way, way, way too soft to do anything like what we're doing today. So I'm going to start by taking one strip. I didn't cut down straight. One of these little divisions here. And let's see, I'm going to run this actually through my pasta machine. Pull that one through, and I've got my pasta machine. It's always off to the side of the table here. Rolled it through on the thickest setting. Now, roll two of them through. And I'm just going to keep doing this until I get this blended. So I'm going to turn the camera off and I'm going to blend these two colors of clay. And when I get it blended together so there's no streaks of either color, I'll come back and we'll compare it to our orange. Alright, so I have my clay mixed pretty thoroughly. I don't know what that is because I cleaned my pasta machine after I used it last time. Obviously this is way too red, and I figured it would be because yellow is not as strong of a color, but why am I cutting the red? I need to cut one more chunk of yellow. I'm going to roll this through the pasta machine and I'm going to mix in this additional yellow portion. So this will be 2 parts yellow to 1 part red. It's kind of where I'm suspecting we're going to want to be. We might need to fine tune it a bit. And we may add some white. We'll see when we get that far. So I'm going to turn the camera off, continue rolling this clay together until it's a nice solid orangey color, and then I'll be back. Alright, so that's our color, and I think we're getting close. We're going to add just a little bit of white now. Probably, let's see if I can find it. Okay, there's a small block of white in here. I usually throw all of my clay of each color, of the individual colors, into those bags. I want about 1/2 part yellow or white to start with. I don't want to put too much white in here. But this is a continual round of looking at your color and deciding, okay, I need more of this, I need more of that. Do I want it more warm or cooler? Do I need it lighter or darker? So I'm going to mix that white in, and then I will come back and we'll see where we are. Alright, we're getting really close. I want just a little more yellow in there, probably about 1/2 of a part, so about 1/2 of one of these strips. Because this looks a lot more yellow than this does. So I'm going to mix this yellow in, and then I'll be back again. Alright, we're getting really close. So at this point, I am going to actually roll this out to a thinner setting, probably down to about a 4, because I am going to cut just a small piece of this clay and I'm going to bake it off, because I want to see what, okay, I just got a clay cutter here, I'm just going to use that. I'm going to bake this because I want to see, it may shift color, especially since there is red in it. It can shift a little bit, so I'm going to go bake this off, and when this is done, I'll be back and we'll compare it to our orange. Alright, so our baked off piece, it turned a little darker. I'm okay with this, I think. Well, no, you know what? I want a little more white and a little more yellow. I'm going to put in another 1/2 part of white, another 1/2 part of yellow. I want this lighter and a little more yellow. So this will be 1 part red, 1 part white, and 3 parts yellow, I believe, is our proportions we are now at. I want to get it right. I want it the color I want it. You know what I mean? It's got to be right. And even if I had gotten an orange clay, I would have probably done some fiddling with the color. I probably wouldn't have used an orange straight out of the package, although Mandarin from Female is close. That one you might be able to get away with. I'm going to just continue rolling this through the pasta machine, mixing it together. When it's all mixed together, then we'll take a sample. Actually, I'll roll it out, take a sample, bake it off, and when I get that sample baked, I'll be back. Alright, so here's my latest round, and I like this a lot better. That's a lot better combination. So now we know what our skin color is. We're going to move our clay off to the side. I don't want to get that all mixed up with what I'm doing next. So I'm going to save off part of this. I'm probably going to save the majority of it. I don't need a lot for the inside. Let's see. I think I'm going to take a ball about that much. Put those off to the side. I'm going to make a ball and then kind of a log, because now I need to mix in translucent clay, which is right here. So now the inside of our orange, I'm using the same clay, the same orange, but I need to make it translucent, hence the package of translucent white clay. And don't put away your other clays yet. You're going to need more white pretty soon too. So let's see what I've got here, other than clay on my knife. should have my wet wipes out. Okay, so this is, that's approximately 1 part worth. So we're going to take 2 of these. I think I need new blades soon. And I'm going to mix 1 part of our orange mixture with 2 parts of translucent. When I get that all mixed together, I'll come back and we'll take a look at it together. Alright, now this is pretty well mixed, and it looks a lot lighter, but it won't bake up that much lighter. I'm going to roll this thinner again. Almost forgot that part. Because there's no reason to bake a whole thick piece. I just need a thin piece. Now I'm going to bake this up. Now you might be thinking, why is she baking off all these samples? Because I want to see what it looks like. I want to get it as realistic as I can. So this will go in the oven for about 5 minutes at the recommended baking temperature of 235 degrees. When it's all done, I'll be back again. Alright, so this is how this one baked off, and I'm not as happy with that as I would like to be. I'm going to go ahead and use 2 more parts of the translucent because I want that to look more translucent when it's baked. So I will be back when I get 2 more of these added and I get the sample baked off. Alright, I'm not sure how well the difference is showing up, but that is a much, much better color. When I hold it up to the light, I can see through it a lot better. So that's our color. So next we need to start forming our cane. Alright, so now we're going to take this clay that we've got. This is our translucent and orange mixture, of course. And I'm going to make a little drum shape, a little kind of short, fat piece here. Now I'm going to show you, there's a couple of ways to do the next step. And I'm going to do my favorite way. I think it gives a better result. Alright, so we've got this. This is our orange clay. This is going to make a lot of doll-sized oranges. Now I have some clay. This is a piece of 1 part white to 1 part translucent. I'm still using Fimo. And it did not get as straight as I would have liked, and I think I need just a little bit more. I'm going to roll this through my pasta machine. I'm getting this down to fairly thin. Now we're taking a little bit of artistic license because in reality the membranes between the orange segments are not this opaque. They're more translucent. They're almost clear. But if we do that, we won't be able to see them. So the first thing I'm going to do, another artistic license we're taking. I'm only going to make 8 wedges. Because the more wedges you make in your segment wedges you make, the harder it is to keep this together and keep it the way you want it. It's more apt to get distorted the more pieces you cut in the middle. So I'm going to cut down the middle, then I'm going to turn it and cut down the middle. Then I'm going to cut each of these in half this way. We're just giving the illusion that we have a real orange. And I want to keep these in the same order if I can, because they fit together. In case my cuts are not quite right. And don't worry about air holes, we're not going to see a lot of that stuff. Alright. Now, we're going to wrap every other segment. So I've rolled this out to a number 4 setting on my pasta machine. This is pretty thin. It's not as thin as reality. I know, in reality, your orange segment, the membrane on there is a lot thinner than that. Now, I'm going to take this. Don't worry about that air hole. Like I said, that's not going to matter. I'm going to go just past that, and I'm actually going to wrap the corner here. Wrap it around. cut it off. And cut that off. Don't have to have all of it off. Now, I'm going to skip one. I'm going to go to this one. And I'm going to do the same thing. And I want a little further on there. I want to go past the edge so I can cut it off level with the edge. I'm cutting with the back of my knife again. I forgot to silence my cell phone. Hopefully you guys didn't hear it. Hopefully it won't make any obnoxious noises because I can't reach it from here. Now we're going to do this one. Here's another piece I rolled out. Cut this off even. And one last one. Notice I'm keeping them still in order. Let's see. Here's a piece I can work with. And I had some gunk in my pasta machine. I have been cleaning my pasta machine and I'm still getting gunk on my clay. I think I need to disassemble my pasta machine again and do a thorough deep cleaning. Okay, let's get this trimmed back. Now, make sure we don't have any pieces with orange there. Now I'm going to take some of this and I'm going to make a very, very thin little snake. I don't need anywhere near that much. Now, I'm going to put 4 of these together. Hopefully I didn't forget which way I was going. I'm going to put this in the middle. And then the other 4. Come on. Now, I'm going to cut that off. Now I'm going to take all of this white and I'm going to re-roll it at, well, I'm going to start at number 1 and I'm going to roll it down to the second setting on my pasta machine. Actually, no, I'm just going to roll it down first. Whoops, I forgot to make it thicker again. And I want a rather long piece now. Now, I'm going to take some of this orange. I'm going to start with the thickest setting. That's the second one. I'm going to take this orange all the way down to at least the 4th setting. I'm going to try to run it through at 5. 5 is the next to the thinnest setting. Alright, that's about as much as I'm going to get, and that's plenty. Now that's a fairly thin piece. Now, it's not quite long enough, but that's okay. I'm going to go back to setting number 1, and I'm going to roll it through very straight, making sure it's rolling through this direction only. Now down to number 2. You see, we're getting thinner, and both layers are getting thinner. Now the 3rd setting. That's as far as I'm going to go. Now we have our peel. And yeah, I've got some black marks on it because, like I said, my pasta machine needs cleaning. I'm not going to worry about these pieces that are rolling out, coming out. I am going to kind of smush this together. I don't want this to shift now. Am I under camera? Barely, but I am. All right. Now, very important that we cut this off right where it meets. We don't want any overlap. We want these pieces to come together nicely. I want to get that white, because that white there will kind of ruin our illusion. So we're going to pull that out. I'm going to do that. Pinch it together. I'm going to cut off this extra. Yeah, that's the right. I'm going to try a different blade. That blade is just not cutting. Let's try this one. That one's a little sharper. I think I need to go shopping for more blades. Okay. Now I've got that pretty level. Now we're going to, come on. Yes, I talked to my clay. That over there. And there's a lot of scrap clay comes out of canes. Now we're going to work this in our hands. Kind of a funky shape there. So I'm going to push this down. I'm actually making it slightly wider so I can get it joined together. So they're not coming together quite the way I want on that end, but this end looks good. Now, I'm going to start by squeezing. I'm using my hands. And we might do some more canes later where we do very little rolling, where we do mostly pulling. Let me get these clays out of my way. Now, we need to measure our orange. My ruler. All right, so for 1/3 scale, let's see, first off, this is about 3 inches in diameter. And oranges come in different sizes. Some are bigger, some are smaller. So this one's about 3 inches. That means our scale, 1/3 scale orange will need to be about 1 inch in diameter. All right, so off camera, I think it's off camera. I'm actually filming 2 videos at once today. So I'm filming the dollhouse miniature size orange and the 1/3 scale for the 18-inch dolls all at once. I felt this was an important enough video to do for both channels. So this is 1 inch in diameter. I've cut off a small portion to make for the other scale, which is what I do quite often. And then I will leave this portion in our larger size. And I have some kind of gunk that I have picked up off of my tray. Okay. Well, that does not make me very happy. Let's see if I can get a piece of clay. Oh, here's a piece that's really, really thin. Okay, I had to cut out a piece of yucky stuff there, so I am going to, we won't even notice this when it's all done, but in this scale we need to keep those holes to a minimum. Okay, I'm not going to go much below 1 inch, but I want to get that rolled in. Now we're not going to get a lot of oranges out of this because, and I'm going to go a little smaller than 1 inch, I think, just so that we make sure we get a few more out of this. That's okay. The dolls won't mind if we got them smaller oranges than our example here. I'm going to go down to, let's see, that's not, I'm going to go down to the 7/8 of 1 inch. It's not a lot of difference, but it will give me a little bit more cane to work with. Whoops, don't roll off the edge of your tray. And I am working on a ceramic tray, like a ceramic tile, like I almost always do. There. All right, this is worked down. Still got a few dark spots. I have cleaned everything. I'm still picking up stuff. So I'm going to let this sit now for about an hour or two. I want this clay, the clay gets warm working with it, with your hands. Your hands put heat in it. It gets warm. And if I try to cut it now, I'm going to lose detail. So I'm going to let this sit for an hour, 2 hours, something like that. I'm going to go eat some lunch. I'm going to go do a few other things. And when I come back, we'll slice off a few slices. We'll make a few oranges. And you can see how this looks. All right, so our orange cane has had some time to sit here and firm up. And it's a lot firmer now. So I'm going to pull this end. Since we would normally be losing this end, I'm just going to pull this end close. I'm very carefully working the outer edge together. And kind of roll that in my hand so we don't end up with a soft spot. Now, I'm going to take my clay blade, and I'm going to come about this far up, and I'm rolling. I'm rolling so I don't flatten the clay as I cut it. And I did not end up exactly where I started. There we go. You're going to cut slowly through. And if it's still distorting for you, go ahead and throw your cane in the freezer for about 10 or 15 minutes. That'll help a lot. But there, we have a sliced orange. We can give it some texture. This is a metal, one of those wire cleaning brushes. I bought this at Harbor Freight. I bought a set of 3 of them, I want to say for just like $1 or $2 or something. It was a couple of years ago. They weren't expensive, and I use them a lot. There. So that's half an orange. Let's make some orange slices. Oh, excuse me, I am fighting a cold. I don't remember if I said that or not earlier. My son was sick all day yesterday, and I seem to be coming down with it today. Whoopsie. Okay, we did not get a very good slice there. That's okay, we'll just correct that, and that can go over in the scrap clay. That's okay. There's a lot of scrappage when you do canes. Alright, now kind of push those cuts together again. Give yourself a little texture. You could even run this against a piece of sandpaper. In fact, I think I will. I've got some sandpaper right here. You just want to get a little bit of texture on that, just on the orange peel, not on the orange. There. So there's a slice of orange. And what can you do with this? Well, you could just lay it out the way it is. You could cut a slice out of it, open it up a little bit, and bake it. And then you could stick it over the edge of a glass that you put a drink into. Let's do another one. I'll show you my favorite thing to do. This looks really neat on a dinner plate. If your dolls are eating a nice dinner or breakfast. Oh, come on, slice flat. And if at any time you start distorting the shape of your cane, roll it back round, and then go ahead and let it sit for a while. All right, we're going to cut. I'm going to pick it up, and we are going to kind of bend it. Oh, I should have textured it first. That's what I forgot to do. Okay then, my camera card got full and cut off on me, and I'm not sure exactly where I was when it stopped. So we made a regular slice with a gap in it to go on a glass. We've made half of an orange, and we've made a little twisty slice. What else should we make? Let's make another closed orange. I wonder how far up we'll have to go here. Let's cut off the end here. I wonder how far up I'll have to go. Get that off. I'm going to close this other end up. I may end up having to close this on both sides. This may or may not work. I'm not sure if I can cut up far enough to get past the end. Because there's always bits at the end of your cane that are not right. That's just part of doing. Oh, it worked. Right. So ow, these brushes are sharp. My sandpaper. This is a piece of 60 grit sandpaper that I use to bake on when I'm baking. In fact, I used it for the cookies a couple weeks ago. Now, let's find, and I can cover that up with a little bit of orange paint if I need to at the end. We have a bit of, I'm trying to see if I don't have any scrap clay to make an end, but what I can do is I can make that end kind of dent in like that. Then I can take some brown paint, put a dot in there and make the other half of our orange, or I can just leave it on a plate. So I'm going to make a couple more slices. Let's go ahead and roll this on sandpaper. That way I don't have to texture it after it's cut. There we go. Now, make sure I'm cutting with the right side of my blade. Get all the gunk off my blade. I'm going to roll it right on this sandpaper so I don't lose my texture I just put in. And the clay's starting to warm up a bit because I've been handling it. See, there's where it kind of came off. It was obviously not quite as squeezed together at that spot. It looks okay on this side, but that side looks kind of weird. That's okay, I'll just put it on a plate that direction down. So that's how we make our orange cane and our oranges. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to go bake these and then I'll bring them back and I'll show you how they looked baked off. And so let me go do that. Oh, and these will bake for at 235 degrees since they're Fimo. They need to be 235. Probably about, I'm going to go probably 15 minutes on these. So I'll be back when these are baked and cooled. Alright, these have baked and they're cooled. I'm going to put, it's optional, but I'm going to put a clear finish just on the inside of my oranges. So I'm using gallery glass. You can use any clear finish that's compatible with polymer clay. And let's see if I can get you a little closer and stay in focus. There. And I have a very ratty looking little brush here because that's what was on my table. I've squirted some gallery glass out on my tray, on my ceramic tile that I'm working on so that I can just paint it on. And this will just help with that illusion that these are wet. Because remember, your inside of your orange would be juicy. And this is our one that's got the little slit in it. I think 20/20 hindsight tells me I should cut out a little more space. Something on my brush. Trying to get this all done before the cold pill I took takes effect and I get sleepy. Okay, this will need to dry. When the slices are dry, I will turn them over and paint the other side. And when both sides are dry, I'll come back and I'll show you the finished oranges.